Here. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I want to talk today about a couple of different concepts around mindful eating. And this is a common theme, common trend that I'm seeing with a lot of my clients and check-ins is this feeling of being stuck or this resistance to change. And they both go hand in hand. And so oftentimes when we think about ways to help us navigate things such as insulin resistance or dealing with hypothyroidism, dealing with menopause, dealing with symptoms of PCOS, all these different things, we have this perception that we need to do things a certain way in order to get results. And typically that certain way is very linear. It's very protocol driven. It's very black and white. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that is not how our metabolisms work. That is not how our bodies work. And so what I want to dive into today is a different thought process around how specific behaviors, specific habits are actually what's going to be the primary driver on getting you the results that you want. And so looking at the practice of mindful eating, as completely unsexy as it sounds, I want to really dive into how it's a pretty big missing link for a lot of folks that are trying to lose weight. They're trying to change their health. They're trying to change their lives. They're trying to get more confident in their bodies. And mindful eating is one of the biggest habits, behaviors, whatever you want to call it, that are going to give you the biggest return on investment. Now, when I talk about giving you the return on investment, I also want to be really clear on this concept around lagging feedback. This is also a pretty big misstep that a lot of folks make. Lagging feedback is looking at how we don't really take into consideration how your actions and behaviors, your thoughts, your beliefs, your choices, your decisions compound day after day, hour after hour, and until we get the desired outcome. We often see it when we have undesirable results, right? So whether it's excess weight gain, whether we're dealing with cycle issues, low libido, fatigue, brain fog, all these undesirable symptoms or outcomes, we see the quote feedback, but we don't perceive it as lagging, right? We don't perceive the choices that we make around our food, the choices that we make around our movement, the choices that we make around sleep, stress, any of these things as compounding to create an undesirable outcome. The same way that we don't perceive that the actions, the behaviors, the choices, the decisions that you make day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, whatever you want to look at, will compound into a more desirable outcome if you see it through, right? When we don't have this immediate feedback, when we have this delayed gratification, it's really easy to say, whoa, stop, this doesn't work. This isn't working for me. And that's just because the feedback is lagging. And so for a lot of folks, for those that are familiar with me and in my one-on-one coaching method, we do utilize macronutrition, which means that we track food. However, relying on tracking food for the rest of your life is not going to get you a sustainable outcome. So there comes a certain point where we need to look at, okay, what are the habits and behaviors right alongside tracking your income in order to get a desirable outcome and in order to sustain that desirable outcome? I often get asked, the different benefits of intuitive eating versus macro tracking and things like that. And that's not something that I'm going to get into today. I have committed to doing an entire series on it because it is an important topic. Because we get really, really confused. Well, isn't mindful eating the same as intuitive eating? And it's not. And I'm going to go into that specifically today, how mindful eating can actually support your goal no matter what it is, and is the biggest piece that so many people are skipping over because it doesn't give you immediate gratification. It doesn't give you that immediate feedback that we desire. We have expectations around tracking our food, starting a workout regimen, changing up the way we eat, and then seeing the change in the scale the next day, right? Numbers go in, numbers go out. I'm going to get a mathematical response tomorrow, right? but that's just not how it works. And so this is why with my one-on-one clients, this is why when I am providing free content, I'm so adamant about focusing on the supporting habits and behaviors right alongside the data in order to give you the tools, the skills, the resources in order to create long-term transformation and change. I would be willing to bet, if you were deeply honest with yourself, that you don't just desire to lose weight. You desire to change the way you feel about your body. You desire to change the way you feel about yourself. You desire to increase your health so that you can live well longer. You desire to have more energy. You desire to let go of brain fog. You desire to have deeper relationships with your family, with your kids, with your spouse. You desire to feel free from food constraints so that you can go on vacation and truly relax and lean into what you're doing, rather than feeling like that you have to be attached to these different numbers, these different outcomes in order to get the result that you want, whether it's weight loss, whether it's your symptoms of your autoimmune condition not flaring up, whether it's excess weight gain from dealing with different things going on, menopause, all these different things. You want to actually be able to relax. You don't want to be in fight or flight constantly wondering how this decision, this choice is going to influence tomorrow. You don't want to live in constant fear that if you relax, if you breathe, if you just lean into life, that you're not going to gain back 10 pounds, right? And so this is something that I very specifically work with my clients on in my 3R process. This is the third R, resilience. And so what I have shared with many, many clients that are brand new, that started with me in the last few weeks or month or so, that was really shocking to them, where I'm very clear, this is a very strategic process, and it seems linear, but it's in fact not really linear. So we start with the first phase of restore and really working on restoring that metabolism, but that doesn't mean that we're not sprinkling in elements of rebuilding our body, our health, our nutrition, creating all these things that we desire. At the same time, learning tools, skills, strategies, creating all these resources, creating this evidence bank, this toolbox in the resilience piece, so that we've actually created our own unique strategy, our own unique plan, our own unique sustainable lifestyle that we can in fact sustain. And the scary thing, but the really exciting thing is when you get to the end of this, it's not something that you can Google and say, how does this work for me? Because Google doesn't have that information. You have that information. You have created this path. You know why it works for you. You know how to navigate it, and you know how to get what you want out of it. And that's really, really important. And so going back through mindful eating, what the heck does mindful eating have to do with any of this? It has everything to do with this. So if you haven't listened to the Strong Mamas podcast, where I talked about the benefits of tracking, and one of the biggest benefits that I utilize tracking for is the mindfulness piece, the mindfulness and awareness. And so what exactly does that mean? And how exactly does that help you get to where you want to be? Do you have to track your food? Can you just eat mindfully and achieve the goal that you want? It's a complicated question with an it depends answer. And I know everyone hates that. It depends. It depends. But regardless, whether you track your intake or not, mindful eating is going to be a huge piece of that. Why? Because mindful eating allows us to be more in tune with what's going on in our actual physical body, as well as our mental body. So we have two elements of hunger. We have our appetite and we have hunger. And so hunger is a very physical need. Appetite is a very mental and emotional need. And I use the word need there intentionally because we don't necessarily need one more so or less so than the other. It is perfectly okay, normal, and encouraged to recognize that we have a mental and emotional aspect to our food intake requirements. Because here's the thing that I know 100% without a shadow of a doubt to be true. We cannot bully our physiology, our physical hunger, or our psychology, our mental appetite, our emotional needs. Food is both. And so by building the tools of mindful eating, You are creating the conditions to be better in touch with what's going on so that you can get a better outcome based on your needs and your goals. So what does this look like? This looks like actually checking in with your body. So anyone that has done my program or is familiar with my process of restoring metabolism, I do believe in feeding your body frequently, fueling your metabolism. So it starts to build trust and understanding around, okay, I have continuous energy coming in, especially if we have a desired weight loss goal. That means that I can utilize my available energy, stored energy, which most of us just perceive as excess body weight. Our body perceives that as its energy stores, as a resource, as energy that it has available to it whenever it needs it. So by simply checking in, pausing, by the way, mindfulness to me, the definition is just pausing. We can check in with what's going on and start to ask questions. Ask yourself questions, check in with yourself, don't make assumptions. What I've discovered in my decade of working in this field, in coaching others, and working with myself, is we are so good at suppressing what we need. We have this shame, this guilt around actually listening to what our body is asking for. If you're trying to lose weight, you may feel shame for eating when you're hungry, right? How many times have you thought, oh, I'm hungry. This must be a good thing. I'm doing a good thing. If I can just stay with this hunger, I'm going to get to my goal faster. Never works. Never works. How many of us have thought, if I can just deal with this craving, if I can just put it under the rug, then that'll get me to my goal faster. Yet most of the time, the outcome is we wind up eating whatever we were craving and then some, because we feel so restricted and so deprived. It puts us into this totally different headspace of, I just need to get that. I just need that. I need it right now. I want it too bad. And then we feel like our cravings are unmanageable and uncontrollable. How many of us have perceived that if we can skip breakfast, if we can skip lunch, that we're going to get to our goal faster? We're going to lose weight faster. Our body needs to just, use what it's got. It doesn't work that way. We have to find the perfect gap between what your body has, what your body needs, and what you want in order to lose weight, in order to reduce our symptoms, in order to get our metabolism to a healthy place to where it can actually do what we want it to do. I was having a conversation with a client this morning. It was really simple. She was frustrated that her body wasn't actually doing what she thought it was doing. She thought, my metabolism is fighting against me. It's a perception that we have right now, but what if we started to actually listen to our body, lean into that, and start to discover what our metabolism actually needs in order for us to work together as a team, for this to be a joint effort, for us to not waste energy, time, resources, finances, battling a metabolism that really just wants to be heard and understood. I know that sounds silly, but that's one of the biggest shifts that I make with my clients. Once we can understand what your body's asking for, then we can give it what it wants. And here's the thing. Your metabolism wants to protect you, keep you safe, wants to work for you. It'll give you what you want in return. And so when it comes to mindful eating, starting with the simple practice of, let me just check in. What's happening here? Am I hungry? Is this a physical hunger? Is this a craving? What's going on here? Checking in throughout the day. This can be as simple as setting an alarm on your phone that says, check in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? Do I need some water? Do I need to eat now? Do I need to plan to eat in the next 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever? What's going on with my body right now? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel tired? What's happening? I'm really starting to lean into the responses that you're getting without criticizing or judging yourself. Oh, you shouldn't be feeling this way. You shouldn't be hungry now. You just had X, Y, and Z before. That's the first place to start. And then utilizing the behavior, the habit, whatever you want to call it, of mindful eating, and really diving into, as we are eating, can I slow down? Can I breathe in between my bites? Can I check in with my body again here? How are you feeling, body? Is this enough? Is this hitting the spot? Do I feel satisfied? Do I want more? Do I need more? Because again, going back to how we've been previously conditioned to battle our body, we understand overeating isn't good for us. But what we have a really hard time understanding is undereating is equally not good for us. And so finding that middle, really being able to tune into what's going on here. How much do I actually need? Have I ever really asked my body that? Have I ever really leaned into a craving and said, what is this trying to tell me? What is this trying to teach me? What are my needs here? Is this a craving from a physical desire? Or is this a craving because I'm tired? Is this a craving because my toddler won't go to sleep? Is this a craving because it was a crazy week at work? What is going on there? And I had some really good reflections and some check-ins from my clients today that I really wanted to share with you all as well. Talking about creating different behaviors around when you feel that you need to eat just in order to feel better. And this has been something that I've been working on for a while, and I will send an announcement out soon, but I'm going to be hosting a workshop towards the end of this month where we talk about emotional eating, where we start to break it down, not only into emotional eating as this big umbrella, but emotional eating as these little pillars that come out of the umbrella. I don't know how pillars come out of the umbrella, but I don't have a better analogy. But looking at the different individual emotions and how we can navigate that so that our emotions can be seen, heard, felt, met, and our physical wants, needs, and desires can also be met without having to blur the two together. And so a lot of my clients right now are working on creating different conditions around their different mental appetites in order to play and explore. Again, this goes back to this process not being linear. The more playful that we can get, the more buoyant that we can get, the more that we can understand that our struggles build strength, the more we're also cultivating the same within our bodies, within our metabolism, to create a much more fulfilling outcome. So going back to the habits and the behaviors of mindful eating, starting with checking in with what's actually going on with your body and moving to how can I be more mindful about the food that I'm consuming? This can look like not eating on the go. Now, I understand that some of you guys are listening to this, watching this, and you're saying, that's not my life. And I hear you, I feel you. Traveled quite a bit lately, have quite a bit more travel coming up. I feel you, I understand. But when we are able to just pause and stop, can we sit down and can we have a moment with our food? Can we appreciate our food for what it's doing for us? Can we appreciate our body for what it does for us? Can we check in with our body? Can we listen to its feedback? Rather than assuming that we know what it wants, it needs, it desires, can we actually listen? Can you chew each individual bite? By the way, guys, studies have shown that when we slow down and we actually completely chew our food, swallow, we not only improve digestion, we not only improve insulin sensitivity, but it's nearly impossible to overeat. It's nearly impossible to overeat when you slowly eat, chewing your food completely, swallowing. Put your fork down, take a breath, check in with your body, do it again. This sounds really, really slow, but it's incredible what we can learn from that. And if you get into a meal and you discover like, I can't get the food in fast enough, what does that tell us? Does it tell us that maybe we shouldn't have waited so long to eat? If we're talking, being quote starving at lunch, from breakfast, maybe that teaches us that we need a mid-morning snack and we need to lean into that and get a little bit more curious, be a little better detective and see what that does. And here's the thing, we perceive that if we try something like adding in a snack, adding in a little more food, that we're automatically going to gain more weight tomorrow, but that's not how that works. It's okay to try and explore, figure out what works, and then notice, how did my energy change? How did my mood change? How did my appetite change? How did my cravings change throughout the day? Checking in with yourself is a radical and powerful act of self-care. Let me tell you that. Because some of you guys are sitting back and saying, I'm a mom. I'm so busy worrying about what's going on with these kids, making sure I keep them alive or doing my job or whatever. But if you stop and pause and think, because I'm raising my hand right alongside with you. This used to be me. This still is me at sometimes. Like, when do I check in with myself? That seemed really foreign to me. So I want to encourage you to start to try that. I want you to check in with yourself, see how you're feeling. Other tips for mindful eating seem really, really basic. So I wanted to give you some a little bit more reflective, a little bit more actionable, but simply putting the phone down, not watching TV. I already said pausing, stopping, making sure that we're eating on a plate, eating at a table whenever it's possible, making a table in your car if that's possible, pulling over at a rest stop. Of course, we can use food socially and have conversations with people, but in doing so, still checking in with ourselves. If you're having a conversation with another person, be fully engaged in that conversation. If you're nourishing your body with tasty food, be fully present there too. It's a practice, but it's doable. I want you to silently, or if you want to, raise your hand, how many times you've had something that you craved, that you really wanted, that you thought was delicious, but you were too distracted to truly enjoy it. I know that that's been me. This food is amazing, but was I really paying attention while I ate it? Sure, my taste buds got some, but was I really truly present with this thing that was so desirable that I had to have? This makes it so much easier to enjoy the more indulgent foods in life. Makes it easier to not feel shame or guilt. Most shame and guilt comes from the fact that we were craving something so hard that we pulled over our car and, ate an entire bag of chips, shoved a whole cookie in our mouth. But what would change if we could lean into some more mindful behaviors, some more aware behaviors, and say, this cookie looks really good. But rather than sitting here and mindlessly scrolling on Instagram while I'm eating it, I'm going to turn everything off and I'm going to be fully present with this cookie. That's how we improve the relationship with food. That's how we improve our relationships with our bodies, right? We're no longer in a battle of, gosh, why are you craving this? We don't need this. This is not going to help us get where we want to go. To, yeah, I can sit here and enjoy this, have a moment with myself, be really present, be really mindful, and really actually enjoy it, rather than feeling like I'm doing something wrong, hiding. Right? And so I want to encourage you, no matter where you are in your journey, because this is something that works no matter where you are, no matter what you're trying to accomplish. This is something that will 100% guaranteed work for you. This is something that 100% guaranteed is going to take some effort on your part. This is something 100% guaranteed you will never regret putting the effort into. Paying attention to your body, paying attention to what you want, need, desire, taking time with your food, savoring your food, being mindful about your choices. That's another aspect of it as well. But I will tell you that gets easier and easier the more you're able to check in with your body, the more you're able to check in with what you need, the more you're able to decipher what you want and how to best serve what you want. Coming up with, is what I want really this freezer burn ice cream that I found all the way in the back of the freezer? Or do I actually want someone to just listen to what's going on with me? Do I actually just need to sit down and take a breath? Do I actually just need to go scream in a pillow? So this is my challenge to you this week. Just start by checking in. Just start by checking in. Maybe putting some Post-it notes around, maybe putting an alarm on your phone. Write it on your hand. Whatever works for you. Check in with your body. What do I need in this moment? What does my body need? What do I want in this moment? How am I feeling mentally, emotionally? What's going on around me? What was happening before this check-in? What could I be bringing into this check-in that happened in half an hour ago, 2 hours ago? And see how that just starts to make little shifts. One more thing that I want to add and leave you with today, it's something that's been really powerful for some new clients coming into my initial 90-day program, is the concept of improving 1% every single day. That seems really insignificant, doesn't it? It seems really easy, but it's really powerful. Again, 1% over 30 days is 30%. So when I talk to people that are brand new to my program, I'm like, in 90 days, that's 90% improvement. And so if we can start to look at our habits and our behaviors in this 1% fashion, I promise you, you're going to get to your goal. You're going to get to your results so much quicker versus looking at, I need to go into this 100%. And so I want to encourage you to do that with this mindful practice, 1% every single day. What can you change? Make 1% better today. All right. As always, I'd love to hear some feedback. Would love to know how this resonates, how this sits, how this is working for you. But until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day.